When we made the Rellana's Twinblade build video, I said, even in the ranking video that we did for the light greatswords, I said that this is one of the most versatile weapons in the game because you can build it however you would want to build it. If you want to build it as a mage, you can. As a cleric, you can. As a fighter, you can. But there were a lot of people concerned saying that it was just spread it all over the place and that it wouldn't reach the potential that other different weapons do. Well, I'm here to tell you that this is a very overpowered weapon, especially if you're a high-level character, because this reaches one of the highest amounts of AR damage when it comes to the Ashes of War, as well as the base damage of the weapon. So we have already made a build, which I'll link in the video description, for a more versatile build. A build that would take advantage of both of the Ashes of War of the weapon, that being magic and fire. This right now, I'm going to show you how to make a Battlemage out of the Rellana's Twinblade. And if you build it towards intelligence, sometimes, in some instances, if you're fighting some kind of types of bosses and you take advantage of the weaknesses and the buffs that we'll be using right here on this video, you can deal up to 10k damage with the Ash of War on DLC. That being said, there is a trade-off. Because we're going to be building this towards being a battle mage and our intelligence is going to be the attribute scaling point, we are not going to do anything with the fire portion Ash of War of the weapon. As a matter of fact, it's going to be trash because the peculiarity that this weapon has is that it scales the damage of the Ash of War based on the attribute scaling that you're leveling up. So for example, the magic portion Ash of War of the weapon increases its damage by intelligence, reaching the maximum possible damage, well not the maximum possible, but the most possible damage on a good return at 80 hard cap. However, since we're not scaling anything out of faith, then the fire Ash of War is barely going to tickle the enemies at the very least. So these are the stats that we have right here. This is 150 build. We need to have 16 strength, dexterity and faith as a base requirement for the weapon, so yes, it is a very stat hungry build, but we have intelligence and 70. To reach the hard cap of our weapon right here and deal the maximum possible damage of our weapon right here, we are going to be using a Crystal Tia, the intelligence, not Crystal Tia. Talk about that a little later. And then we need 20 of endurance. The weapon is somewhat heavy, but it's not that heavy so that we can't use something that gives us 51 poise, and then we have vigor on 50 and mind 35 because this is a very FP consuming build, because this is a mage. You're not only going to be able to use the Rellana's Twinblade as a main means of damage, which you should, because it's more often than not going to deal more damage than all of the rest of the spells that you're going to have in your roster, but that's how things are right. So for the equipment, we have the Rellana's Twinblades plus 10. A lot of people would be concerned as well, since we're basically scaling our stats right here with intelligence, that the base AR of the damage, the basic damage of the weapon, is not going to be that good, because it's not going to scale that well if we scale it with a single stat. Well, that is not true. Right now, the weapon has 786 AR damage for a light greatsword, that it's also dual attacking. Just for your reference, it has nearly 800 AR damage, which is what the greatsword unbuffed would reach as a base damage on a strength build, which is a colossal sword. So yeah, this is very high damaging, especially considering that it's a very fast attacking weapon, and you have nearly 800 AR damage with the stuff that we have right here for this weapon, just scaling it out of intelligence. So yes, it is very powerful, even while you're scaling it only on intelligence. As for the Septa, or Catalyst, you can use by all means whichever that you would want to be using. I'm not particularly using any kind of sorcery with this build. As a matter of fact, my favorite means of damage is using just the Rellana's Twinblade Ash of War, the magic portion, because it deals tremendous amounts of damage, and it's very versatile. If you want to take advantage of the windows of opportunity of the bosses, just tap once and then it's going to do 2 swings when you feel that you have a little bit more room, or your Mimic Tia is also getting the attention of the boss. You can complete the animation. It's very versatile to use. The Wolf Crest Shield, because I think that it fits the style in here. Now, for you to be able to sustain the 51 poise threshold and not be as heavy as you would regularly be, the Navy Hued, Rellana's Armor, Gauntlets of Solitude, and Night Grips. For the Talisman, there's a couple of concessions and decisions that you would want to make in here. To be able to use the armor and the stuff that I was using, I was actually using the Great Year's Arsenal. So I'm using that one slot right there. But the Talismans, if you have a little bit more of endurance, or you can actually take a little bit of more of advantage around here, and with your stats, armor, how heavy, fat roll, medium rolling, what have you, just overall, the Shadow of Alexander, that's a must. The Magic Scorpion Charm, that's a must. The Graven Mask Talisman, I wouldn't consider it a must because I'm not using that much of a sorceries, but it's a very, very cool idea to have it right here. Also the Radagon icon for you to cast a little bit faster as well. And then the rest of the stuff, that would be like your ideal thing that you would be toying around here, and depending on your needs, and depending on how versatile you think that you have that extra slot right there, that being the Etri's Favor +2, Dragon Crest to negate the extra damage that you're taking from the Magic Scorpion Charm, and stuff like that. You're just overall your support kind of talisman. There's only three spells that I consider for it to be a must for you to be able to maximize the damage potential of your build. The Terra Magica, 20% more extra magic damage. Rani's Dark Moon, this increases the magic damage that the enemy takes. And then since this inflicts cold sorceries, you can use Adulus's Moonblade to freeze the enemy, and that way you're getting percentage more damage. The enemy receives more percentage magic damage from the Rani's Full Moon, and also from the Frostbites. The rest of everything, I'd say that you can use whichever that you would want to be using, but I like to use this as a combo because this potentializes even more the damage that you deal with the Rellana's Twinblades. As for the mix of wondrous physics, we have the Intelligence Nut Crystal Tier. I consider for all of this to be a must because there's not much room of improvements. If you're a higher level character, if you're level 200, 250 or what have you, you manage to reach the hard cap without the Intelligence Nut Crystal Tier, be my guest, you can change this one in here, you can have a little bit more mines and stuff like that. And then Magic Shrouding Crack Tier, which is going to increase your magic damage by 20%. This is the overall damage that you are going to receive as an increase whenever you buff your character properly, whenever you debuff the enemy properly, and like I mentioned, in some instances, if you're taking advantage of your Mimic Tier, which is also going to be very powerful. As a matter of fact, regardless of you using the Mimic Tier as a mage, or you summon him with the Rellana's Twinblades, it's going to be very, very powerful and very deadly. And if you're using your Mimic Tier as a tank or a distraction, you can complete the animation of the Rellana's Twinblade, taking the most advantage out of all of the damage that I showed you just about now, which, like I mentioned, in some instances it can deal up to 10k damage on the DLC, depending on the resistances and not resistances that the enemy may or may not have. So yes, by all means, you can build a Battlemage out of the Rellana's Twinblades, and I sustain what I said. The Rellana's Twinblades is one of the most overpowered weapons in the entirety of the game, because regardless of how you build it, it's always going to be monstrous. And if you're a higher level character, then this one on the base game, it manages to reach around 1.1k damage, if my memory serves me well, with my high level character. That's the damage that you can reach on the DLC. It's like 2.4 or 5, something close to that. It's a monstrous weapon. Like, it's a really, really monstrous weapon, regardless of the build and level of the character. Anyways, if you like the content, like and never super appreciate it. And also, there you go, just a beautiful person. You're in the go, just a beautiful, beautiful person. Subscribe to the channel. You're in the Discord. Have a beautiful day.